Let us turn to John 18:38, 40. Here a man is on trial. He knows who he is, for he has had all the experiences to reveal the being he is, sent into the world to tell the world who he is, and to tell them who they are, for they are one. He is brought to trial, and Pilate, the arm of Caesar, is trying him. And Pilate said to him, "What is truth?" But he does not reply. He does not answer. Pilate said to the crowd, "I find no crime in him, but you have a custom that I should release one man for you at the Passover. Will you have me release for you the King of the Jews?" They cried out again, "Not this man, but Barabbas." Now Barabbas was a robber. Barabbas was a robber. That is all it states. Not this man, release Barabbas. Well, here is the trial. Who is Barabbas? He is only mentioned in one little statement, but in the 4 Gospels, it is very significant. To find out who Barabbas was, let us find out who the thief and the robber is in Scripture. We go back to John 10:1. "Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter the sheepfold by the door, but climbs in by another way, that man is a thief and a robber." They did not understand it. He said to them, "I am the door of the sheep." John 10:7. There is no other way into this sheepfold. Now you present the case to the world. Will you believe it? Will you believe, as you are seated here tonight, regardless of your present limitations, that the only door into your success, into your future as you would conceive it or desire it to be, there is only one door, and that door is I am? There is no other door into that sheepfold, and if you go through that only door, the sheep will hear your voice. They will recognize your voice as the shepherd and will respond and come out. I would like to be healthy if I am unwell at the moment. I would like to be gainfully employed if I am unemployed. I would like to be, and you name it, to be happily married. I name all the things that I think would constitute a lovely life in your world. Do I really believe there is only one door into that sheepfold where I could bring all these unseen things out into my world? And these things could only respond to the voice of the shepherd, and the shepherd is I am? And so he asked the crowd, and they shouted out, "Release Barabbas!" They would not have Jesus released. They would have none of it. So they chose the robber, and the robber rules over them to this very day. That is the world. I chose the robber. My senses rob me of all that I could be. I see my bank balance, and I know the world as my senses allow it. I know what reason dictates in my world, and yet I want to be other than what they dictate. Yet I can't bring myself to believe the only way into that sheepfold is by the only door in the world, and the only door is I am. So here Jesus comes to reveal God in the present tense, and man refuses it. They speak of God in the past. He was, or he will be. But few people in the world can believe in the reality of I am, and that is the great trial. And you are on trial tonight because you are asked the question, will you believe that your own wonderful I amness is the one and only God? Or, do you believe because of your present social, intellectual, or financial position that you are less than someone else? And you allow your reason to dictate this as something that is final? Can you believe tonight in this trial and really believe that I am, and you name it and dare to believe it? I could tell you unnumbered stories where it has worked, if people would believe me. In this audience tonight there sits a man. Only a few weeks ago he was let out of a job. I told him it would make no difference to me if he was let out, and they told him it was forever, that it was permanent, that I would hear good news for him, good news. So I heard exactly what he would tell me were it true. And tonight, just before I took the platform, he told me he has been transferred to a new job where his income is in excess of what it was before. All things being relative, when you make $13,000 on a job, that is not hay. Yet, it could be $100. And I am telling you right now, I don't care what he has ever done in the world today exceeding $13,000. It could easily be, if that is what he wants. There is only one door into the sheepfold, and that door is I am. The supreme effort that God ever made to reveal himself to us in the present tense came through Jesus. So Jesus comes affirming God as the eternal contemporary, forever and forever. If tomorrow you have a child or a grandchild, they are going to say, I am. It is contemporary, forever contemporary, and eternally contemporary. It wasn't that he was, it is always I am. And so for one to declare, I am, and simply name it and sleep as though it were true, there is no power in the world that could stop it. Now they deny the Father to fulfill a prophecy. John 16, 2, 3. They will put you out of the synagogues. Indeed, the hour is coming when whoever kills you will think he is offering service to God. And they will do this because they have not known the Father nor me. For there is a prophecy that when a son destroys the enemy of Israel, the Lord will set his father free. They didn't choose the father to set him free. They set the son free. The one that is robbing them morning, noon, and night, they set free. This I am quoting from 1 Samuel 17:25. And the men of Israel said, Have you seen this man who has come up? Surely he has come up to defy Israel, and the man who kills him. The king will enrich with great riches, and will give him his daughter, and make his father's house free in Israel. The father of one who destroys the enemy. His name is I Am, called Jesse. The word Jesse, the word Jehovah, the word Jesus are identical in meaning. They mean simply I am. I will set that being free, and his name is I Am. Now, if tonight you could do what dozens or hundreds of you have done and believe this is not a little trick, it always works, and really believe in it, you would believe in God. When a lady sits in this audience and is in her 70s and has no money and dares to sleep in a home in need of repairs, and she looks at the unrepaired, unpainted house, and she could smell paint and could see the whole thing as it would be seen. Were it true that things were exactly as she wants it to be, and she sleeps in that assumption, what is she actually saying? If I said to her, Who is smelling anything? She would say, I am smelling paint. What are you seeing? I am seeing a repaired house. What else? I am seeing that the whole thing has been paid for. She falls asleep in assumption of seeing from her own wonderful center. I am seeing it. I am smelling the paint. All these things she is doing, and in 1 month it was all repaired and painted and paid for, with a surplus of $7,000, a gift from one she had never seen in this world, only communicated with her 2 or 3 times in the course of a year. Here, she saw it. Her story I told in my latest book. She may have even forgotten the name of God. Who did it? She may point across the water to a lady in England 8,000 miles away who died and left a certain will where she received $7,500 in U.S. currency, which allowed her to do all these things with something left over. She might think the cause of it all was one who died, and I tell you the cause of it was. She called on the only name of God in this world. She went into a sheepfold through the only door in the world, and that door is I Am. She fell asleep in her bed. But before she fell asleep, she saw and could smell paint, and she saw the repaired areas all painted over and felt herself giving a check in full payment for all the work done. Because it was fun, she did it for 9 or 10 days, and then came this wonderful draft from England and a letter from Lloyd's Bank telling her of the story. She entered the sheepfold, and they all heard her voice, and they all came out. The sheep happened to be the money. Everything in the world responded to her voice. She was calling them out. She was calling out paint, calling out the repair job, calling out everything. They only responded to the voice of the shepherd. Who is the shepherd? I am the shepherd. There is no other shepherd. If you think he will shepherd you and put your trust in our president, or our mayor, or our governor, or your father or mother, or some uncle who is about to die, and you are now giving the most marvelous meal in the world because you think he is going to leave you in his will, so he is your shepherd, and all these you think are the shepherd, you are simply looking in vain. There is no other shepherd and no other door into eternity save the one door, and that one door is I Am. Here is the greatest trial that ever took place in eternity, and you are called upon to scream out the one you want released, and the world invariably screams out. But not all. There is always that minority who will scream out, "Release Jesus." But the majority will scream out, "Release Barabbas! Release the robber!" And so they chose the robber. and throughout the centuries the robber has ruled over them right down to this day. You and I will go to bed tonight, and our senses will dictate what we ought to believe to be true in this world. Read this morning's paper, and 99%, including the ads, were all paid for. And if it is something you like, you will buy it. It is perfectly all right. It has been paid for, and you know it. But you don't know all the news items were paid for also. That has been concealed. They are all paid for. All the press agents all over the world, there is not one who is in the public eye that does not maintain some press relationship. Daily columns, not press agents. They have been glamorized into some name other than press agents. But still, they take your money month after month and put these little items in the story, and you read it morning, noon, and night, and you believe that to be true. I tell you, forget the entire vast world and ask yourself a simple question. What would I like to be? Look at the world. Forget Cuba, forget Russia, forget China, forget all this stuff that is going on in the world. What would I like to be? A decent, wonderful being that contributes to the good of the world, to be happily married, yes, to be in this world and contribute to the good of the world, but really contribute, so that when I am gone and my children's children are gone, they will say, he gave a thought to the world that has fed the world. The unborn tomorrow could be fed by what I have left behind me. Would I like to do that? At the same time, not neglecting my obligations tonight, for I am married. There is a husband, a wife, a child, a father, a mother, all these things in the world, and I must, if I love them as I think I do, take care of them. And so I want enough to leave them cushioned. Regardless of all things, they did not need my cushioning, but maybe they didn't hear me, and I am selfish enough that if they did not hear me, there is only one door in the world into the great kingdom. If I could still leave them a cushion so that they will be cushioned against tomorrow's blows, then, regardless of what the world tells me, I will assume tonight that I am what I desire to be and dare to fall asleep in the assumption as though it were true. I will actually believe in it. So I will cast my vote. Release Jesus and hold on to Barabbas. Or else I will say, release Barabbas and hold on to Jesus. And so it is entirely up to us. I either believe it or don't believe it. There is only Christ. There is only Jesus. Jesus Christ is God, and so are you, and so am I. If I believe it, I am it. Even if I don't believe it, I am it. If I don't believe it, then I go through all the fires of hell in this world. If I believe it, there is no being in this world that can stop me from sleeping this night in the assumption that I am the man that I would like to be, just as though it were true. I will bring it to pass in my world because I call all my sheep out, and my sheep are the individual realities. No one sees them. They come right out and follow the voice of the shepherd whose voice they hear. They will not obey the voice of the stranger, only the voice of the shepherd. And the shepherd is I am.